Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast. First episode of 2022, a new year. But the same old Jared Borislow is our co-host. Thank the sweet Lord baby Jesus who he half doesn't believe in. J-Bone, how are you, my friend?
I don't know if that's necessarily how being half Jewish
That's
and half
how it works.
Catholic. Okay, well, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, you half believe in Santa as well.
Which half, the bottom or top? That big fat ass, it's the bottom.
It's the bottom.
know it's the bottom.
You know it's the bottom.
You know it.
How are your New Year's resolutions going thus far?
Very well, actually. What I decided was like, I'm really just going to stick to two, because I'm the kind of guy who's like, I need to change up my life. This, like 15 things. And you can't do all of them at once. Like,
No.
You're not going to do any of them.
No, it's a terrible way to live.
So my two are less phone time. So I've been doing no phone, first hour, last hour of the day.
Right.
It's going well. And no phone in the bedroom. That's a big one.
Love that.
So I need to, look at...
You're disconnecting.
Yeah.
DC.
Yeah. Only, I'm just using Game Boys Advance, not...
You're
regular.
disconnecting to reconnect, though.
Oh my God, that's actually really good.
You're connecting to reality, which many of us have failed to do
Yeah,
for
yeah.
quite some time.
So no phone in the bedroom, less screen time, doing well with that. I'm also trying to read books, and I'm doing well. I'm 50 pages in. I've read 50 pages so far.
Analog novels.
Analog novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not Kindle, not iPad. I'm trying to go full book in hand,
Right. No screen.
no screen.
Because you and I are tech boys. We live in this little tech startup world where we have to do internet things all day on screens, and it's hell.
Yeah, so book reading is going well. I will say one thing
What are you
about,
reading? What book?
Ready Player One by
Okay.
Ernest Cline. Yeah.
I was going to guess Lord of the Rings, but I don't even think that's actually the title of any of the books.
Why would I make Lord of the Rings the first book that I read in like a year and a half?
I don't know. I just look at you and I think about hobbits.
I don't even think I'm capable. I don't think I have the reading comprehension level to read the original Lord of the Rings. Aren't they like some of the hardest books to read?
Have you ever tried to read the Bible? It's a foreign fucking language.
I only read half.
Seriously, it's harder than Lord of the Rings. Which, again, I don't think is the name of an actual novel. But Ready Player One, that's cool. It's a movie that
it's
I
good.
didn't see, but
The one
Tight,
issue
tight.
that I have, well, I've heard that the novel's far better than the movie. Even though Steven Spielberg did the movie.
book people just love to say that shit.
Well, they do, but like usually when they say that, the film isn't directed by Steven Spielberg, right?
I mean, this used to be one of those classic things that everybody has a take on, right? Like whether or not book people are snobs for always thinking the book is better than the movie. And honestly, Game of Thrones just destroyed this entire argument for me, where I no longer want to take a side. Because it wasn't a movie, A, it was a television show, and then B, it was completely derailed when they got past where the books were. And that whole problem with George R. R. Martin, I don't want to talk about books that are made into it's just, they're two separate entities entirely to me now. Ready Player One, the novel, and Ready Player One, the movie. And I don't think either one should be judged against the other, right?
But you did
That's
bring
how
up
I
a good
feel.
point. Because your point was, Game of Thrones, there was an argument that the Game of Thrones TV show was better than the books until they ran out of books. So you can't judge anything after the books as being better or worse than...
It was ridiculous because, look, the books were always argued to be too long-winded, crazy high detail. He would spend like 2 pages talking about somebody's suit of armor. The television show was much more enjoyable. I mean, on a higher level. Just depending on what kind of person you are. I just think overall, quality-wise, the TV show was higher quality entertainment until they ran out of source material.
Also, in the books, weren't a lot of the characters like underage?
The age discrepancy between like the actors and the characters they were playing, and yeah, I mean, they had to age it up a bit to make it less creepy and medieval. But yeah, there were a lot of issues with Game of Thrones. We'll just leave it at that.
One of the issues that I have with my less screen time resolution is that, like, when I'm doing the podcast, I have my phone open with the rundown on it. So I'm going to have like an hour extra.
Dude, you and I checked mine the other day, and on Christmas Eve, my phone claims that I was on it for 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours straight. Didn't talk to your family. Didn't do anything. Didn't eat.
Mostly on YouTube. It was like 75% YouTube, and that's just not true.
Ross, what rabbit hole did you go down? Just be honest.
I didn't stay up for 24 straight and have my phone open the whole time watching fucking YouTube, and my phone literally says that. So I'm starting to doubt this whole Apple screen time system entirely. Just saying, be careful out there.
What vested interest would they have in lying to you about your screen time?
I don't know, but they're doing it, Jared. You've seen I showed you the
No,
proof.
it said 24 hours.
It said 24 hours, 0 minutes. Because there weren't any minutes left over. I used them all. In full hours.
Uh-huh.
Insanity. Good for you, though.
Thank you.
Good for you. It isn't like, doesn't feel like 2022. It always takes me at least a month to recognize the new year is actually here. Like halfway through January, it'll start to feel like it's 2022. But right now, I'm still struggling to put 2021 in the rearview mirror. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear, Jared. The same thing happens to me with birthdays, by the way, which is still, I still end up telling people I'm like 32 by accident sometimes, when I'm like 95% sure that I turned 35 in June. Right?
No, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Who's
I
really
don't know
to
when
say?
your birthday is.
Can my parents be trusted? Maybe.
What can we do for your birthday that's like wild and crazy, and we'll get people talking?
We'll get people talking. I want some hot tweets for my birthday.
I'm going to get you a stripper.
Let's get some hot tweets.
A birthday stripper.
A birthday stripper, huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what choices you make in terms of like, you know, categories of stripper, because there are lots of them.
Well,
none of which are appropriate to discuss right now.
I think, can you name at least one?
Nope. How about regular ass strippers?
The only one I could think of wasn't appropriate.
Well, there's male strippers, there's female strippers, there's male strip clubs, there's female strip club. There's just, it's a very divided world.
I mean, there's also gender neutral.
Then there's, are there? With both kinds of dance? See, that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's a strip club where men and women both get naked.
No, imagining, like, how would they do that? Would they have one stage where it's like a man?
On this stage, it's Gary. And then on the other stage, Anastasia. Like, it just wouldn't play, right?
Yeah, no,
You've got dong in one corner and titties in the other. Like, there's just no...
Like, well, would they share a stage? Would it be like guy, girl, guy, girl?
Dude, as an anti-strip club guy who's always been creeped out by the entire experience with you go in and then you're just like you're just getting horny in a pack. That doesn't make sense to me. This is the solution. Now it's a party. You bring dick and vag. Baby, you've got a stew going. But by themselves, we're looking at bad things happening. I've watched The Sopranos. I've seen what Ralphie does behind Bada Bing. It's not good. Strip clubs are gross. Let's fix that by hanging dong and titties in the same joint.
Again, do you want to have one...
Borislow Bolen 2022.
One
2024?
2024.
2024.
Do you want to have one dong stage and one titty stage? Or do you want to go one stage and it goes guy, girl, guy, girl? So all the guys get horny and then some stay horny, some would get unhorny?
Main stage, I think we're really fucking people up, right? Like we're bringing out Gary and then Anastasia joins. But, you know, not really like, they're not, that's the thing you got to remember about the main stage. It's not like Anastasia and Gary both have to be working the pole together. They're separate performances, but they're just, now we've got everybody covered on the main stage.
Well, Gary's always working the pole.
Gary he's hanging pole, yeah. He brought the pole to the party. Pole on pole action.
It's a pole party. Bring your floaty.
This is not a segment we planned, fixing strip clubs, but we did fix strip clubs just now. Mm-hmm. Which is amazing.
Aren't you going to go to a strip club in Vegas?
No, I don't think we're actually allowed.
Oh.
I am going to a bachelor party, but I was told that, I'm not joking, that the fiance is not approving of strip clubs, which is the first one I've been on where that was actually the case, where somebody said point blank, hard rule, no strip club. And I don't think that would be the case if our strip clubs existed.
I agree. I think how could you be objectionable? It's just like celebrating the human form.
Human body. Art class when your teacher stripped naked and made you draw them with pencils.
Wait, that I don't.
That didn't happen for you?
Usually it's like a
priest?
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of interesting, right?
What? Drawing naked people?
Well, so okay, that's like it's a common theme, right? It's like, oh, you have somebody, and then like in a TV show, it's like, oh my god, it's my fucking dad, holy shit, whatever. I don't know if that actually happened in a TV show or not.
What do you mean if your dad was on TV naked?
No, like so. It's like a thing that I've seen in some like 90s sitcom where it's like you're in art class and they bring a model in and it's like your dad or your grandpa or some shit.
Yeah.
So first off, they definitely don't do that in high school, right?
Yeah, no, they don't.
Okay, that's only in like a civic center art class situation.
like a private college maybe, but like I don't think they're just busting out naked people for you to draw in public high schools, right?
And what happens if like
you can't even pray? I'm pretty sure you can't just bring out a naked guy.
Well, look, but going back to the art class thing, like how does it work? Like if
how did that
dude...
even become the way art worked? Like back in the day when Picasso was like, man, I crush with shapes and colors and people really like it. Now I'm gonna get bitches naked and make shapes and colors of their titties. Like how did that like the progression? Like the artists that were just the best at it, and then they had to go do naked people.
But how do they? Is it a volunteer situation for being the model for?
Do you want to draw me like one of your French girls?
I mean, if you volunteer,
Leo DiCaprio, Titanic.
What if the model gets an erection, and then some of the people they started drawing the dick already, and they're like, "Come on, man!"
Now what? We have to wait for him to get soft again.
No, or they draw a penis that's soft at the top and hard at the bottom.
And there's stages to that too. People don't realize for growers, like. You grow to full mast, and then after impact, there's
critical mass,
a shrinking period where it goes back to its normal form, and that takes a couple minutes. There's an end period there where you've got all variations of dick sizes.
Which is got to be weird for the model to like. Well, does the model after the class? Does he get to look at everybody's painting and be like, "Thanks, man,
you crushed my dick.
You crushed my dick." Like, does he judge them? I mean, I don't think you're allowed to judge, but like, he at least should be able to look and be like, hey man, like you really did me an injustice.
Here's the thing. If I come into the class butt ass for you all to draw me, you're all getting naked too. You can't draw me nude unless you're also nude. Right? I think that's only fair.
Are you drawing?
No. But if I have to be naked, then God damn it, why isn't everyone else naked?
Because I think you're volunteering to be the only naked guy as like part of it.
Are nudists still out there?
Yeah.
Just avoiding cancel culture entirely?
I think one of your neighbors might be a nudist.
Really? Mm-hmm. Did you see one of my neighbors naked?
No.
Suspicious of you to suspect them of being a nudist when you haven't seen them in the nude.
I'm just saying. They live the lifestyle of somebody who otherwise would be considered one, minus the clothes.
I think, that applies to like 3 of 5 people in this neighborhood, actually. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hippie town. Mixed in with some ridiculously wealthy California people at this point. Jared, I have a note here. I don't know how this was supposed to apply to anything, but it says you're not adopted because you and your brother would both have to be adopted because you're like twins. Not the same age. Not identical twins, but like still twins, you know?
Yeah.
Like twins that were beaten with different objects after birth or something. And that's what brothers are, right? One of the weird elements of adulthood, by the way, is that you and your siblings are just out in the world, living completely separate lives, being responsible for totally separate shit. After growing up under the same roof as 2 parts of a unit, you become your own unit. Jared showed me his unit right before the show started.
What'd you think? When you want to draw it?
You were engorged. Jared, if you hadn't just gotten engaged, by the way, do you think there would be a segment of our audience that thinks we're lovers who use their spats for comedic purposes?
Like you and I always agree, but we take our disagreements to the mic in order to get our horny anger out.
Yeah, like we're in a relationship and then we were like, we should have a podcast. We have funny spats.
There's still hundreds of listeners who think I live in this house with you.
Well, there's also hundreds of people on TikTok who literally think we're the same person, which is, I saw another comment recently. They're the same guy. It's like, what is this theory and why does it have legs? But yeah, there still might be a sect of our audience who thinks your fiance is a beard and that our métallitage takes precedent over your marriage. Just, something to consider. Anyway, if anyone has any tips on how to make it feel like 2022, I'd appreciate it because honestly, it's still 2020 in my brain until the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, too. New sponsor alert. Listen up. Do not hit the skip button or the podcast will be canceled forever. And more importantly, your wardrobe will not improve at all, ever. You know how important it is to the show to show out for these sponsors that make our show possible.
Is this a new sponsor?
It is. Brand new. So make sure you keep that energy all 2022. No cap, gang. Word up with our sponsors, all right? Today's episode is brought to you by Indochino. Whether it's finding a signature color, wearing a more flattering cut, or getting a new statement piece, the right detail can take your wardrobe up a notch this year. Let Indochino take care of your 2022 style edit. You can customize everything from suits and shirts to chinos and bomber jackets at prices more affordable than you might expect. I can tell you personally, the Indochino experience is incredible, whether you go to one of their showrooms and get measured up or you do it from home. I have done both now. Went to the Indochino showroom in Austin the first time through. This time, this week, actually. I measured myself at home, checked out all their wares strictly online, and, well, not measured myself, but I had someone measure me. It's pretty hard to do yourself. You need another person there with you. But the end result is the best custom clothing experience I've ever had, whether it be in the showroom or online. Really made no difference to me. Indochino offers completely custom-fitted suits, shirts, casual wear, and more at surprisingly affordable prices, so you can get a wardrobe personalized to your style and taste without spending a fortune. Every piece is made to your exact measurements, and you can customize every detail. I mean, you can choose everything about your suit, including the fabric, the lapel, monogram, and statement linings. It's pretty awesome. You can create a suit that fits you and your style perfectly, and the best part, Indochino suits start from just $429 and shirts from $79 with all customizations included. Give yourself a style edit that sets the tone for the rest of the year with Indochino. Get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more by using promo code RBP at Indochino.com. $50 off.
Okay, I have so many thoughts on Indochino. $50 off a purchase of $399 or more is an amazing deal. Think about this. If you go out to some random department store and buy a suit, you're going to pay a lot for the suit, and then you're going to have to pay to get that thing tailored, and tailoring is not cheap.
Yeah.
So you can buy the suit already tailored to your exact specifications online and save $50 with our code. What are you doing buying a suit anywhere else?
Doesn't make sense to go buy a suit that doesn't fit you, that wasn't made specifically for you, when you can get $50 off by going to Indochino.com and using the promo code RBP, Jared. It just doesn't make sense. That's $50 off a purchase of $399 or more at Indochino.com, promo code RBP. Jared, have you watched Don't Look Up?
I have not. It's not a nice documentary. Everybody knows I only watch a nice documentary.
We do know that. Well, I did a podcast on it with Barrett for our TV and film podcast, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, otherwise known as OCC, available wherever you listen to RBP. And in the movie Don't Look Up, there is this one character that's like an amalgamation of all the tech CEOs, like the ultimate tech CEO combo of Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Bezos, Elon. He's like a hybrid of all of them. He's a freak.
Does he have a blood boy?
What's a blood boy?
It's a young, strapping, handsome, healthy teenager
That they strap to you with the IV?
Yeah, you take their blood.
Their young, vital blood.
Mm-hmm. You do like a,
infusion.
Yes, you take. They give their blood to a bag, and then the bag goes to you.
I've seen the movie Mad Max: Fury Road, starring. Damn it, I forgot his name. I don't know. Tom Hardy. Yes, thank you, Brain.
Good job.
Starring Tom Hardy. Anyway, the character in the movie is terrifying. He's the Bash Cellular CEO Peter Isherwell in Don't Look Up. And between him and the photo of Bezos on New Year's Eve dressed like bald Elton John, it got me thinking, I desperately need a Jeff Bezos biopic. Biopic?
Biopic.
Damn it. Done by... Why can't I do it right ever?
You never do it right.
I don't know why that has to happen every time, but I feel like I'm helping other people, which you're welcome. Done by Adam McKay or whoever. Like, whoever's best suited to make the Bezos biopic needs to get on it right now. Hashtag Bezos biopic, not biopic. And that got me thinking, like, okay, well, then the challenge obviously becomes who plays Jeff Bezos, one of the most just outrageous looking. The other thing that got me thinking about this was there's a photo of him that went viral his like first day of Amazon launching. He's like holding a book or some shit, and it's the title on it is like world's biggest bookseller or something like that. And then the photo of him on New Year's Eve with what's her name, who actually wants to bone Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know, his girlfriend, whoever the fuck that is. He's always pictured with this woman now. I think they might be married or they're dating. I don't know. Regardless, she wants to bone Leo because they also went viral when the two of them met Leo and she was very clearly taken with him.
And then Bezos implied he was going to throw Leonardo DiCaprio off of a cliff.
Yeah.
In retaliation.
Yeah, which just as an example of something that you can no longer do when you're the richest person in the world, it's make quips like that. You cannot joke about having people killed anymore when if most of the population would probably, like, if they had to take a poll, do you think Bezos has ever had anyone killed? I think most of us would probably vote yeah. Right?
He seems like kind of a coward.
Yeah, but like indirectly, he's killed millions of small business owners, Jared.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Jeff Bezos indirectly, or you could argue directly, has killed people. Yeah, I don't know if he's ordered the killing of somebody and had it executed.
But probably.
But potentially, yeah.
Is our show allowed on Amazon podcasts?
We are. No, that's
Did we
the
just
one...
get booted just now?
No, that's at Play More Pods. That's
shit.
That's where we keep getting.
Shouts to Play More Pods. Y'all are awesome. We appreciate the shout out, I guess.
We get. They've shouted us out 3 times now.
Yeah. The two chicks that they interviewed on the street may have incorrectly described our show a bit, saying that we mostly cover sports and Game of Thrones, but...
And saying that I'm hot.
Still tight, though. Well, I thought that part was accurate.
You think so?
You're my hot little muffin, Jared.
As far as who would play Bezos, now the first thing you need to decide is, are we going an actual... There's three choices, right? When you go for a Bezos.
Sure.
It's actually bald, bald cap, or normally not bald, but you shave the head of the entire show.
The way I'm looking at it is like there's no way in hell that Bezos or anyone that has the power at Amazon to sign off on this post-Bezos life, I don't know that he'll ever die. He doesn't think he'll ever die. Will allow it to take place unless he's played by an A-lister. So I think it has to be like... it's probably, you're not going to find somebody who just looks like Bezos to play Bezos. You're going to have to do like Tom Cruise could play Bezos, right? Like shave his head and do some facial makeup magic or whatever they do. And I feel like he's got the body structure and the absolute disconnection from reality, like the insanity, to pull that off. Christian Bale can transform into anything. Like he did Dick Cheney. So maybe he'd somehow work. If you play Batman and Dick Cheney, I feel like you can play Jeffrey Bezos.
Who's the Australian guy who always does the play? Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman is that dude.
He is.
He's too tall, though. He's too tall. He can't play Bezos. I'm sorry.
How
you have to be a short king.
Isn't Hugh Jackman a short king?
Only short kings can play Bezos.
I think Hugh Jackman's a short king.
I'm looking up his height right now, man, and I'm telling you, I've seen him move those feet around. He's 6'3", bro.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he's taller than me. And he moves like an angel.
I think J.K. Simmons, who we talked about recently from getting his mouth pooped in, would be a good Bezos. Right?
I think we just ended our casting search. That's the guy. That's it. It's J.K. Simmons. Famously from Oz.
I am Bezos. Dum bum 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 bum. He's also in the Farmers Insurance commercials.
That guy rakes in money now.
Oh my gosh.
But just to be clear, first time I ever saw J.K. Simmons, you know, the dude from Drumline with Nick Cannon. Oh, that's not. It was what's the movie where he does drums?
Birdman. No.
Thank you.
That's not it.
I think it might have been that same year though.
Yeah.
But you know, in that time period.
I get them confused.
It's whatever. Google drum movie with J.K. Simmons. The first thing I ever saw him on was HBO's Oz, which was a show about prison life. I believe in the late 90s, early 2000s. This preceded like HBO becoming HBO. This is before The Sopranos and Game of Thrones and The Wire and everybody knowing like you go to HBO on Sunday for high quality entertainment. And HBO Max and the streaming wars is before all that shit. This show would never get greenlit in 2022. There is absolutely no chance in hell that this would ever make it past stage 1 of the script approval process because it was the most heinously hilarious, fucked up thing I've ever seen. One scene in particular, J.K. Simmons on this show plays a white supremacist gang leader in prison, and that is the first character I ever saw him play. And he looks exactly like J.K. Simmons in everything else you've ever seen him in, including Palm Beach or whatever that fun... God damn it, my brain doesn't work good right now for coming up with all of these different movie titles. But he was in like one of my favorite movies of this pandemic thus far that was straight to streaming, and it was called... How many movies is this guy in? Good
a lot.
God, I'm scrolling. Palm Springs, thank you.
Okay.
That's what it was called. Palm Springs. So in Oz, as the white supremacist leader of a prison gang, at one point, he has a bitch. Not at one point. It's like a whole season's arc. The main character becomes his bitch, which in prison is like his bitch.
Do they do the thing that they do in Prison Break where you hold the pocket? So
I don't remember if they do the pocket holding thing.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but there was some...
Can you hold my pocket?
There was some... Definitely after the show ends, not from here. But there was some variation of them signifying that he belonged to him or whatever. Anyway, so his bitch ends up freaking out, and they're in the weight room one day, and he throws a barbell down on J.K. Simmons' neck and takes a shit in his mouth.
Okay, so how much of this do you see pictured?
All of it.
Do you see poop exiting the anus, or do you just see it... You know what I'm saying?
But this is like asking about, like, you know, if I was assaulted on the street 10 years ago, it's like I wouldn't remember every detail because I suppressed it because it was the most violently disgusting thing I've ever seen.
I maintain that unless you see the poop exit the anus... I
think you see poop come out of a hole.
That changes everything for me, right? Because
you're asking if this is a Blippy situation or if they did movie magic.
Exactly.
You're asking if he actually took a shit on J.K. Simmons. I don't think he did.
For example, in that Eminem music video where he barfs all over the guy, there's Blippy. You have a Blippy doll for some reason. In the Eminem music video where he barfs, you can tell there's like a hose in his hand, right? And he's like spitting it out.
Yeah, sure.
Because I like that like, okay, now I'm like, I believe that you can fake these bodily explosions.
Well, did you think prior to that everyone who ever died in a movie was actually being murdered and bleeding everywhere?
Yes.
Okay.
But my issue is that if I see the poop exit the anus, like, I see it come out and then reclose like a latch on a space station.
Or like that Star Wars monster that comes out of the earth, the worm in Dune or whatever too.
That's scarring. But
the worm in Dune is just a butthole.
But if it's a shot of like the side of the butt and there's poop that
shoots out like that, then you're with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I don't think you see it come straight from his hole because I don't think he shit on J.K. Simmons. But no pun intended. That scene very much is like it. They show it, and it's truly something to behold. This is pre 2 Girls, 1 Cup, even, dude.
How much gets in the mouth?
Like, this is why I never watched 2 Girls, 1 Cup. I'm assuming it was a splattering. But because I had seen Oz, there was just no need. Everybody's like, you gotta see it. And I was like, I'm just not gonna watch it. I never watched it. I'm dead serious. I'm probably one of the few people on earth who's never seen 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Well, you better watch out opening any link from me.
I don't open links from anybody anymore. It's one of my hard rules. People you cannot send me things anymore. There's no news to be had, no sharing of stories because I'm just too scared. You know how many text messages a day I get that are like, you've just won $2,000 or here's your latest mortgage statement or click here for titties. And I'm like so tempted by all of those. And I know better though because you click and then they have all your data, you know? Bezos has your data after that. And then maybe it's me who ends up playing him after I go bald. Hopefully never. Where's wood to knock on? I don't like joking about my hairline, dude. I'm 34.
That's drywall. That's not wood.
It counts. It's made of wood, right?
You don't know what... There we go.
That's solid wood. There we go. The floor is definitely not real wood.
I don't think drywall is made of wood. That just seems wrong.
But it comes from a tree, right? Drywall?
No, drywall's like... What the hell is drywall?
I don't know. It's like arguing that Dippin' Dots isn't ice cream. It's got to be, right?
Wait 10 more years.
Ice
cream of the future.
We're all aware that actors are completely crazy people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just as a job, that's like what you have to be crazy to pull that off. It's what you do for a living. You're crazy. You pretend to be someone else. And if you do method, like which is what a lot of our most prominent actors like Daniel Day-Lewis has done, then you literally become another person for an extended period of time. You have to lose yourself in the identity of another human being whom you are not. Which I think is like I think they say the definition of insanity is trying the same thing, trying it again and expecting different results, something like that. I think the definition of insanity should be Daniel Day-Lewis, just as a human.
What about Jeremy Strong from Succession?
Or Jeremy Strong, any of the method guys,
acting.
they're all nuts.
Who's another method actor?
I feel like
Zac Efron was such a method actor for that one movie that he got addicted to cocaine and had to go to rehab.
He did, which as it's one of the things that Brian Cox of Succession, who is a classically trained British actor, argued is that these Americans are a bunch of scumbags who like have to get addicted to coke to play roles.
It's not acting,
and that he can turn it on and off, right? Like
it's not acting if it's
right.
Like
if
method acting, technically,
if you
is not
have to
acting.
become the other person, you aren't an actor, or it's a totally different thing, right?
Yeah, it's like saying somebody who's bipolar. Oh, look, they're acting manic. It's like, well,
they are manic.
They are. It's not acting.
Yeah, exactly. That's a weird line, but to Brian Cox's point, I'd much prefer his ability to turn it on and off whenever the hell I feel like it than having to go Jim Carrey become, what's his name? Man on the Moon. Andy Kaufman.
The Mask?
And
somebody stop me.
Oh man, what was the name of the
Smokin'?
The main character in The Mask's name is next level ridiculous 1990s comedy.
I thought his name was Mask Guy.
His name is Stanley Ipkiss. Stanley Ipkiss. Ipkiss.
I don't what I've never heard the last name Ipkiss.
And here's the synopsis. Bank clerk Stanley Ipkiss is transformed into a manic superhero when he wears a mysterious mask.
I've never seen The Mask. I only know about The Mask from Trill Bollins. Is it worth watching? Considering
Cameron Diaz is the hottest woman on earth in The Mask. And I'm not like, that's not like, oh, let's talk about it. No. In the movie The Mask, when it was filmed, she was the hottest person on the entire face of the planet. The scene where she enters the bank changed my life as a young boy. Definitively and forever.
For better or worse.
I was addicted to legs. That was it. It was over. Cameron Diaz, red dress, The Mask. Over. But yeah, you should watch this. It's funny as shit. This is aged well, in like a goofy ass way. But like, you would watch it and be like, my God, they'll never make a movie like this ever again. Because they won't. Like, these goofy ass movies starring A-list celebrities do not exist because they would bomb the fuck out. I mean, maybe straight to streaming. Adam Sandler's there's like a couple people who can pull this off. But back in the 90s, that's like all they did was make goofy shit. They paid Jim Carrey like $30 million. That's what they pay Leo to act in like the fucking Revenant. He was getting that to do The Mask, and it just doesn't happen anymore because the studios lose a fortune.
Somebody suck me.
Dave, great show. Shouts to Hulu and to Little Dicky. By the way, Peter Reitgart, who is in The Mask, he plays Lieutenant Mitch Kellaway, has had one of the more storied careers as an actor that's unrecognized of all time. Mainly because he was the main character in Animal House. Everybody forgets him. He was in Traffic as an attorney. He's in one episode of Succession. He's in several episodes, multiple seasons, I believe, of The Sopranos. No, just one season of The Sopranos, 2001 to 2002. I mean, this guy has been everywhere. He's just one of those dudes. Sneaks into a whole bunch of classic shit, and you don't even know what hit you.
Like Chet Hanks.
Like Chet. Exactly like Chet Hanks. Tell us, Jared and I, who you think should play Jeff Bezos in the biopic that we'll produce in 2025. On Twitter, at Jared Borislow, at WR Bolen. Holler at us. We'd like to hear from you. Today's episode of RBP is also brought to you by Liquid IV. The new year is here. There's no better way to kick it off than by making sure you're feeling like your best self all 2022. One goal I have for myself this year is to stay consistent with my Ross Fit training, and I will be doing that with the help of my favorite hydration product, Liquid IV. One stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. They're delicious. They're awesome. They have so many different flavors. Jared and I love them. We literally have hundreds and hundreds of packets of Liquid IV around Bolen Media to keep our entire office hydrated year-round. The flavors, watermelon, lemon lime, strawberry, pina colada, and more, they're all great. Jared, what's your favorite flavor right now?
Well, I've said it before. It's a hack that a lot of people don't know about.
Okay.
You buy a strawberry pack and you buy a pina colada pack, and then you do half and half, and you make Miami Vices.
Wow. Again, one stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. Contains 5 essential vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. With
You sunk my battleship.
3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. Made with premium ingredients, non-GMO, and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. The science of cellular transport technology is what makes Liquid IV so effective, designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into the bloodstream. One stick, again, faster and more efficient than water alone. Just pour it in there, mix it up, throw it back, baby. It's delicious. Grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ROSS at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code ROSS at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today at liquidiv.com. Promo code Ross.
My 3 favorite flavors: pina colada, strawberry, and then tangerine with the immune support.
Woo, 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 Jared.
I love it.
Getting me hard. You and I are both human beings, and therefore we require sustenance to maintain our existence, Jared, at least to my knowledge. And as such, we were having chips and queso as part of our lunch when the subject of appetizers became broached. It was broached. The best and worst appetizers we could discuss today, which obviously my first best is chips and queso. This is growing up in Texas and having grown up in Houston and then moved and lived in Austin, the only 2 places I've lived heavily, known as Tex-Mex towns, or quite large cities. They're not towns at all. Houston is enormous, and Austin growing ridiculously larger by the day. But I've had a lot of chips and queso in my life, so much so that really I should be sick of it at this point. And the fact that I'm not is indicative of just how good an appetizer chips and queso really is.
If you've never been to a large Texas city, mostly people are thinking Austin, Houston, San Antonio.
Fuck
Chips
Dallas.
Fuck Dallas.
Thank you, Jared. And thank you to all of our Dallas listeners who put up with my shit. I appreciate y'all. You're awesome. It's not your fault.
Point being, chips and queso is on the menu at pretty much every restaurant, including a lot of restaurants you would never expect to have chips and queso.
I'll be like an Italian joint. Like, you don't have any fucking bread, which, by the way, bread at Italian restaurants, chef's kiss.
Is that an appetizer? I don't think free bread is. I think appetizer has to be a menu item, personally.
Okay, but at those at a really good Italian restaurant or a really good steakhouse, just steakhouses tend to do this too. When they bring out that bread that's just better than anything you've ever had in your life, with the butter that's just better than anything you've ever had in your life, you're telling me I can't count that because I don't like to order another appetizer outside of that bread if they bring a whole bunch of it, because I'm like, now there's value being lost somewhere. Either I'm not going to appreciate this bread enough, or I'm not going to appreciate my appetizer enough, or if I appreciate them both enough, then my fucking main course is screwed because I've had 10 pounds of appetizers.
So the only way I'll let you include bread is if bread service is on the menu. So when you go to some fancy places nowadays,
It has to list it?
Yeah.
Damn.
So for example, like if I go to Longhorn Steakhouse and they bring out that randomly delicious bread that's like half white and half pumpernickel or whatever, that's not an appetizer. They bring it out regardless. It's just like a thing they bring. It's like the silverware. They just bring it to your fucking table. Who cares? Blah, 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 slapdick. But bread, when it's on the menu, the bread service, you know that's like they're making that bread for the menu. They're not just making it for
they didn't
every
buy
Tom,
this
Dick,
at
and
Whole
Harry.
Foods.
Yeah.
It's some guy in the back with barley and hops.
And then that guy back there is microwaving the loaf.
Wheat.
And you're like, oh my God, it's freshly baked. It's like, no, it was frozen bread. They thawed and microwaved and brought to your table.
Wheat. You don't think any of that's made back there?
No, in a lot of nice restaurants,
They
yes.
make their own bread,
Yeah,
right?
but you know when you got a roll.
Yeah, you
that's-
know.
Yeah.
That's store-bought.
I will let you include bread service.
Mass-produced.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Well, what's your favorite, Appy?
Number one favorite appetizer of all time, always has been, always will be, escargot.
What?
Oh, I love escargot.
You talking about like the snails?
Snails.
The most expensive possible appetizer?
It's less expensive than you think. It's about as expensive as other expensive appetizers.
Are you being serious right now? You're an escargot guy?
Escargot is my favorite appetizer.
This isn't like you want to be...
Not a bit.
You want to be, contemptuous. This is...
Escargot. So if you say, Jared, you're at a nice restaurant, the menu is whatever you want it to be. What are your two appetizers? Here's what I
You would
pick.
for real pick escargot.
Number one, escargot, and I'd say that first to make sure they don't sell out because I needed my fucking escargot. Number two, lobster bisque.
Those are the two strangest choices for... How many are there on your list?
After those two, those are my two where if it's on the menu, I am getting them. Otherwise,
Escargot and lobster bisque.
yes. If those are on the menu,
That's a soup.
and if
I'm
they're-
not even allowed to count the fucking bread they force feed me, and you're telling me you're counting a soup as an app?
it's a starter. Appetizer and starter are synonyms. You would start with a soup.
Fair enough. Appetizers / starters. Do you like it when people say apps? Let's
No.
get some apps.
No.
I don't either. I fucking hate that. Stop doing that.
What, do I have to download it? The fuck you talking
Yeah,
about?
it's a lot of white people do this. I can only speak for us at this moment.
I'm not a big fan of how much you dislike my picks because I these are great picks.
No one listening is like, man, Jared just picked my two favorite. We are alike.
Ross,
Escargot and lobster bisque?
if those are
Who
both
are
on the
you?
menu, I'm not kidding. I've done this tens of times in my
You're
life.
such a strange human,
If
though.
they're both on the menu, I'm getting both. I've done
Jared,
it so many times.
You historically have been mocked for buying discount golf polos off the fucking rack at whatever sporting goods store, but you're also the guy who watches documentaries only, and then you love escargot and tomato bisque
Ross,
as your apps.
so you need to remember that like a lot of the things I like, I don't pay for. All the clothes I'm wearing right now are free.
Okay.
Got this when I signed up for a disc golf tournament. Got this hat for free. Got
Sure.
these pants for free.
Right?
So I've said it many times. The only thing I spend money on in
Normally
my life,
that's the case for me, but today I paid for a lot of these clothes.
the only thing I spend money on, if you look at my credit card statements, you look at my bank account, I only spend money on food. I do not spend money on, I don't buy shit. I get everything else for free, and I spend money on
Well, that's
food.
because all your money's tied up in Bitcoin.
It's true. It's true. Wow, not a great day for Bitcoin, down 13%.
Is it?
No, it's down 5%.
Oh.
Still bad. It's
Fuck.
It's at like 44K.
It's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Everything's fine.
Stock
Dude,
market's doing great,
dude,
I heard.
We're going to get the God candle. It's going to the fucking moon, bro.
The stock market's not
Yo,
doing
put all
great.
your money in it right now, pussy.
Y'all should buy everything, though. And that's not financial advice. Just keep buying everything, though. But that's not financial advice.
But yeah,
and Jared doesn't buy literally anything except food.
So, which is why I can afford escargot and lobster bisque, because I've allocated my funds to be able to buy those.
Yeah, people are out there bitching about their lives. Oh, God, I got bills to pay. It's like, fuck you. If you spent less on clothes and all this other shit, you could be eating escargot and lobster bisque while holding mad Bitcoin. Bitch. Like, figure your financial situation out.
That's the J-Bone approach.
That's the J-Bone
approach. It's not
approach.
financial advice.
It's not financial advice, though. It's just general advice.
Yes, but also I'm a big charcuterie guy.
Okay, now we're in a familiar range that I can jive with. I cannot believe your first two picks. I'm going to be astonished by this for the remainder of the day. Escargot and lobster bisque. Not a single chance on earth anybody could have guessed those two things were coming. But a charcuterie board I can get with.
Yeah.
I love a good charcuterie board. Cheese is delicious. Shouts to the people who have to be gluten-free.
What is
They
that?
can't eat cheese. Or dairy-free, I guess.
Dairy-free.
Dairy-free.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can't eat cheese.
I
I don't know what has gluten in it. I'm not clear still. I know it's not good.
see you have some more on here.
Yeah, I have a thorough list. Some of mine are a little fancier in the region that you were focused on, like crab cakes, for example. I really like crab cakes. Big crab cakes guy.
Some people would say that's an entree, but I'm a big crab cake appetizer guy. That's high on my list.
Well, there's definitely places where the crab cakes are an entree and listed as an entree, and they bring out like 3 massive
Exactly,
fucking
yeah.
crab cakes, and you're like, okay, this is my whole meal. But you know, I honestly I prefer the appetizer version of crab cakes where it's a smaller portion, because it's an example of a food that, while delicious, it becomes a bit much.
Well, especially when it's really cracker heavy.
Yeah, it's just heavy as fuck.
I
man.
want my crab cakes to be lump crab meat heavy. Got to have some egg and some Ritz. It got to be Ritz to bind them together.
I mean, generally, like my whole thing with appetizers is to avoid anything too heavy, right? Because like appetizers are probably, I mean, it's like a 50-50 thing for me. The main course and the appetizers are equally important.
Agreed.
Right? I don't want either to be destroyed by the other, and I want to respect both equally. So I don't want to have too much appetizer to screw up whatever the main course might be. So that's a huge, which is why the bread thing can screw me. Just like the chips and queso thing. Like the joke back in the day is always like, you know, at Matt's El Rancho, for example, the Mexican restaurant that I most often went to in Austin. I don't go so much anymore now that I'm on the other side of 200 pounds. But they would bring out 4 baskets of chips before the food, man. Like,
And
I
each
would
chip
be,
was half a tortilla.
Yeah, man, I'd be 17 tortillas deep before eating enchiladas, which is just 2 more tortillas wrapped with cheese and stuffed with cheese.
You're also a cheese enchilada guy, which I always thought was just interesting.
I mean, I wasn't varying at all. We were getting queso, right? So it would just be tortillas with queso, and then the enchiladas would come out, which is just tortillas in a different form with more queso on them. With cheese and beans, and then like 3 margaritas and a couple of Mexican martinis to wash it all down.
You're disgusting.
Yeah, it was fucking disgusting.
Are you familiar, Ross, with what I refer to as the salad bailout?
What's that?
When you're at a nice restaurant and you're getting like appetizers, you're getting multiple drinks, you're getting a soup, a salad, a side dish, like a steakhouse experience, right? Where there's so
Okay.
much stuff on the table, you don't even know what to do with it. I believe it is intentionally known amongst steakhouses that they give you the salad directly before your main course as the last of the starters, because when you eat a salad, it makes you less full. So, for example, I will eat
It's like
escargot.
a palate cleansing thing.
I'll eat escargot. I'll eat lobster bisque. I'll have a soup. I'll have some of somebody else's appetizer. I'll have some bread on the table.
What do you live in a fucking castle?
This is, at a fancy dinner.
Is your life Beauty and the Goddamn
At a
Beast?
fancy dinner.
Are the silverware dancing and singing? It's a 5-course meal for Jared over here. This is a guy I eat fucking fast food with every day for lunch for the past 8 months. And he picked lobster bisque and escargot, and now he's walking us through what is like the meal I had at my wedding.
Point being, then they serve you the salad, and you eat it, and you go, "Oh my god, I'm going to eat this salad. I'm not going to have room for my main course." But then the salad bailout occurs. Your stomach goes, "Oh my god, it's something healthy. Wow, send everything down lower so the stomach can fill up."
See, what I used to do is the cocaine bailout, where you go to the bathroom and snort a line and then shit your pants.
I guess
I don't do that anymore, though.
two ways to skin the same cat.
What?
But I believe salad exists in a course. By the way, what's your favorite salad?
Caesar.
Same.
Yep.
But I believe it exists in a large course meal to clear you out for the main course, and it works for me. Try it. Next time you're at a steakhouse eating a 5-course meal, make sure you have the salad right before your main course.
After your escargot.
After the escargot and the lobster bisque. Are you a French onion soup guy?
Yeah.
I just had a French onion soup in Malibu. I'm not stunting. I was at Malibu.
You do sound fancy as fuck this show, though. Like,
yeah.
it's amazing.
Well, I also went to Craig's for Christmas Eve dinner.
Wow.
Got to talk to Craig. Got to shoot the shit with him.
Craig.
Yeah.
Tight.
You know, the best thing about going to Craig's, you need a reservation to go there, first off. I mean, it's Craig's in West Hollywood.
It is Craig's.
A-list spot, Craig's.
Yeah, I don't know Craig's, but sure, Craig.
Well,
It's Craig Biggio.
You couldn't get in. That's why you don't know it.
The Craig that's coming
Not
in.
owned by Craig
Well,
Biggio.
if you don't know Craig's, you can't afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were there, and the best thing about Craig's, legitimately, is that when you're there, people are looking at you because they're like, is that guy famous?
I like these spots in
Yes.
Hollywood.
I'm looking around to see if there's anybody else famous. Meanwhile, they're all looking at me to see if I'm famous.
And what's funny is none of any of us in that situation, it's the version of fame that existed back in the day when that behavior made sense no longer exists.
Yeah, because I'm sure I was next to some fucking 25 million subscriber YouTuber.
And
I don't
you
know
had
who
no
the hell
clue,
this guy is.
right?
There's
Yeah.
too many famous people nowadays.
Right. Nobody recognized Formula Bone, and they should have. They should have done a standing ovation.
Honestly, I've never been recognized as Formula Bone, specifically.
Well, you just launched
I
it
know.
this past, several months.
By the way, if you see me on the street
Uh-huh.
and you don't say "What's up, J-Bone," what are you doing?
Yeah.
I would love to say hi to people. Don't ever go, I don't want to bother you. What? I bother you all the fucking time by
Yeah.
making you listen to me.
Now, if you see me out, leave me alone because because I don't go out ever. So if I'm out, it's because I've been made to go out. I don't want to be there already. Actually, fuck that. Come talk to me because I'm probably miserable and I don't want to be there already. And you can distract me and make me feel good about my job. That would help. Never mind. Come say hi. I've changed my policy in 2022. If you
Wow,
see me in
it's
the
big of you.
street, you do not have to fear me anymore. I will not pop the gat on you, which is what I think I told people in 2021.
If you see me and call my name and go, "Hey, J-Bone," and I look over and you hit the whip, I'll donate $20 to charity.
Holy shit. Okay. I like that.
Maximum one person per day.
But you have to hit the whip.
Yeah, because I don't want to
Maximum one person.
maximum one donation per day.
No, because 365 days worth of 20s.
Well, what if somebody's out there with their friends and you're like, "Yo, each of us need to hit the whip," and I'm gonna I'm at $100. Like,
yeah, that's tough.
I need that money for escargot and lobster bisque.
My others are oysters. I love oysters, and it's an example of one that's very, very delicious, very tasteful. Does not fill me up at all, which takes me to sushi. I love sushi restaurants for this reason. I've actually never left a sushi restaurant and felt like I was full or had a good meal. Ever. It doesn't happen. Even if I spend $200, I leave the sushi restaurant and I'm like, we get some cake or some ice cream or something because it's just not a filling food, and I love that about it. But edamame at sushi restaurants is a top 3 appetizer for me.
So I have a top. I would say, realistically, my third favorite appetizer after escargot and lobster bisque is also served at many sushi restaurants. But it's not edamame, Ross. Do you know what it is? Crab Rangoons.
So these are the puffball things, right?
It's a wonton skin
Yeah.
with cream cheese mixed with crab inside of it, and you dip it in a sweet and sour
This
sauce.
is an example of a food I think is poorly branded. Because I'll see crab rangoon and go, I want that in my mouth. But then when I see it on the menu, I go, what the fuck is crab rangoon? What's a rangoon?
Yeah.
And maybe the movie Rango fucked this up for me, but somewhere along the way, that whole word got confusing where I'm like, I'm not even sure what it is I'm ordering. It's scary. That's a scary thing.
So crab jangoon, you're saying when you see it in person or you see it on the menu, it has your interest, but when you see it in person, it has your attention. That was
Yes.
a really bad Django joke.
Wow, that was a very layered,
Contrived.
Django Unchained joke.
One of the only
do love
two
that
movies, Django Unchained, one of 2 movies I've ever seen twice in theaters.
I just watched Neil Brennan stand up. What? What's the other one?
If you guess it, first try,
Titanic.
I'll give you, if you guess it second try right now, I'll give you $500.
The thing is, I know you told me at one point.
did.
So if I can get my brain, which we both know is not going to happen, to recall that fact, then I'm $500 richer. But I don't think that's going to happen.
And luckily there's a timer because
And
we're on a
honestly, my
podcast.
brain's just going, say Rango. So I'm Rango.
It's The Love Guru with Mike Myers.
Damn it! That is so easy to remember. This is the last time. Next time I have a shot at the 500, I'm getting it. The Love Guru with Mike Myers and Django Unchained. I was watching Neil Brennan earlier, and he was like, one thing I've learned having a bunch of black guys as friends is that when you're the white guy with a lot of black friends, you cannot be the one to suggest to go watch a movie about slavery. Like, you can't be like 14 for Django Unchained, please. And I was like, damn, that is fairly true. And just in general, those movies do create a very odd movie viewing experience in America. Like, when I saw 12 Years a Slave in theaters, that was a very unusual movie theater in terms of energy, and when people were leaving the theater, and just like the whole vibe of it all. Whenever you go see a historical movie about something horrible that has happened in humanity, it's an odd experience. It's leaving the theater not being like, that was tight, like you do when you leave from Marvel. You leave and you're just like, we are all shit. It's just a weird thing, going to the movies and leaving not up, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Last thing I'll say about crab Rangoons is I had a friend in college. She came back. We were like hanging out in the sorority house, TFM, and
yes,
she came back drunk from the bars and was like, "I want some fucking crab raccoons." She called them crab raccoons.
It's a branding problem, Jared. It's a branding problem. We spoke on, last thing I'll say about appetizers, we spoke on the crab cakes earlier and how they can be brought out in all variation of sizes, and how sometimes you're just like, okay, this is now my main meal. Same thing with the meatballs. I like meatballs as an app. Sometimes I'm ordering them at an Italian restaurant, so they're bringing out a meatball the size of my fist, and I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on back there? You serve these with... Sometimes they do this with spaghetti. You order spaghetti and meatballs, and the restaurants that are super fancy and want to get weird with it give you a fucking baseball-sized meatball with spaghetti noodles plopped on top of it. I don't know about all that. I like individual meatballs. Now I have to create individual meatballs myself. Now I'm working. I paid for this fucking meal. You couldn't just chop it up back there? What the hell is this?
I mean, the stupid thing is, like, why would you ever buy meatballs when you could just wait for the weather forecast to be cloudy with a chance of meatballs and then go outside with a butterfly net and just catch one out of the sky?
I've always asked this question. Always ask this question. Today's episode is also brought to you by MyBookie. If you like betting on F1, for example, as one of the major sports in the world that gets bet on every day now, which Jared has a podcast and brand surrounding in Formula Bone, or if you're an NBA fan and the season is heating up and we're headed towards the All-Star break and then the playoffs. Playoffs, or the NFL, which is obviously very close to the playoffs, and then the Super Bowl. And you like betting on sports, the place to do it is with our sports betting sponsor, MyBookie, at MyBookie.ag. Again, what do we still have? The Natty? Do we have any other bowl games? Just the Natty?
I think just the Natty.
The national championship between Alabama and Georgia, which is kind of a classic SEC matchup, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, they just played the national championship, 3 years ago.
God, we're living in a fucking twilight zone where it's just the same goddamn SEC schools every freaking year lately. At least that's what it feels like. But yeah, on MyBookie, you can build your own props, create multi-game parlays, take part in a host of MyBookie cash prize contests. If you're not into sports betting for whatever reason, they have the casino. The casino is amazing. And the live casino, where if you've ever been in an online casino and just been like, well, I don't like that I can't see the dealer or like the person dropping the ball onto the roulette wheel, they have that at MyBookie.ag, and it's awesome. So you can bet anytime, anywhere, anything with MyBookie.ag using the promo code RBP to support the podcast and unlock a double deposit bonus when you sign up today. Stipulations apply. That means if you put in $100 and use the code RBP to sign up, they will match your deposit with another $100, so you'll have $200. Again, MyBookie.ag, code RBP, stipulations apply. Support the show and do your sports betting and online gambling with one of our sponsors. Jared, I saw an Instagram post from Hypebeast. You familiar with Hypebeast, right? Sure you are. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's about NFTs.
Oh, okay.
Which I do know you are familiar with. And one of the NFT collections I have heard, and I know that anybody paying attention to the space has heard most about, is the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? And all these rappers have bought Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs and set them as their Twitter or Instagram avatars, and it's hilarious because they cost like $300,000, and in their world, it's literally paying $300,000 to have a sick social media avatar, which, frankly, I would probably do if I was a rapper, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, I saw this post that was like, while the NFT space has been largely dominated by Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks, We Like the Doodles has proven to be a force to be reckoned with. Originally launched in October of 2021, the 10,000 NFT collection features the art of Canadian illustrator born to, let me see what his actual name is because I don't want his Instagram handle to be what I'm shouting out. Burnt Toast. Oh, Burnt Toast Creative is the name that they go by. But the prices on some of these, and they're very, very simple little alien drawings like this, right? So I would argue even less sophisticated than what people would say. Like I kind of like the Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff, and I like the zombie monkeys and all the different crazy versions of it that they've created. I think it's cool. I don't know about paying, 6 figures for one, but it is what it is. The world dictates value wherever it decides to. In this case, the first one on this slide, and they offer you several, this simple purple alien person drawing that looks like, I could probably do it. Well, and you know how when you go to an art museum and you look at the modern art and you go, okay, I could do that.
So
and you're still a moron. Right?
I only do that when it's like a Jackson Pollock, which like I could literally jizz on a canvas and that would be the same.
I mean, I could literally probably draw this though.
No, because the thing is, like, I've seen you draw and you have the shakiest hands.
But this is on a computer, right? So my hands get taken out of the equation.
Do they?
I think so. This is like, let me put it this way. I could make this on a computer. I definitely couldn't draw it by hand. But doesn't it only need to be digital?
I suppose.
Well, this one is $570,372. And Jared, if people are getting that kind of dough for this simple of I've seen some of the graphics you make to market our show. Why the hell haven't we dropped a collection of NFTs? They dropped 10,000 of these. One of them's worth $570,000. What's $570,000 times 10,000? We could be billionaires.
Well, don't worry, Ross. We've had many people reach out to us asking if we want to make an NFT with them. Most of them scammers. Probably all of them scammers.
It's actually getting kind of annoying.
Stop reaching out. We will.
I don't know what you want us to NFT. Leave us alone, weirdos.
I actually had an idea for an NFT, but I don't really want to say it.
I could say the only idea I've heard pitched does so far.
What was it?
An NFT of me taking you out back and spanking your tight little ass.
We actually should sell that.
Yeah, that's good business.
For charity?
Probably.
How much money? Because whenever you do something for charity, it like makes the value like 10 times more. Because people are like, oh,
you're right.
They're like, it's like a charity flex, What
we need to figure a charity that will accept money that came from me spanking your tight little ass first. But anyway, back to these doodles. Here's another one. I'm going to show you a couple more, all right? This one is a little fancier. This would be harder for me to recreate, all right? I'm not saying I could do this one necessarily. It looks a little more sophisticated. But $452,000. The next one's $380,000, $228,000, $190,000. I mean, people are putting enormous amounts of money into this space. Crazy amounts of money. I mean, it isn't just like this joke thing from 2021 when the world was losing its mind and people started dropping cash on weird internet art. It's very established now.
Can I bring you back to like, I don't like to stunt or flex. I'm very humble. Everybody says I'm the most humble guy they've ever met, right?
I say you should stunt on the haters, but that's just me.
I'm not a hero.
Okay.
People know that about me.
We do say that you're not a hero.
You've been around me long enough to know that I was probably like 3 months ahead of every single thing that's been like this for the last year.
Yeah, well, you were deeply plugged into crypto, which puts you in this space, right?
NFTs, crypto,
yeah. That was all very connected.
Back when Beeple was just getting popular, I was entering me and Ross into Beeple giveaways like every single day.
Which is hilarious because I very specifically remember being on Twitter and checking to see if I could win like a drawing of naked Donald Trump being eaten by a shark. And I was like, what the fuck is this? But it was Beeple. And now Beeple is like one of the main NFT dudes, like making really, really, really silly amounts of money on internet art. And what I'm curious about is like, I'm sure this will happen, but there needs to be a documentary created around this space and the OG big money artists that have made millions and millions and millions of dollars in this 2-year span off of NFT sales, because that shit is fascinating. And a lot of these guys were dead fucking broke before and are now
like
some of the most prominent. Yeah, but when's the last time you saw an art revolution that caused all of us to learn the names of fucking anyone? Except in school, right? Every art revolution that we've ever learned about has either been, it's been before you and I's lifetime. It's like Picasso, it's very rare. I don't want to shit on like the ones that have done a lot of stuff while we've been alive, like Banksy. There's lots of good artists. I'm not saying there aren't.
Picasso was like the 70s.
But and that was before you and I. But like a full-blown art revolution where it's like, here's new names that you need to pay attention to in a space that is completely different from anything that's been at least taken seriously before. It's not like art online didn't exist before. It's just being minted and done in a way now that is able to hold value. with the blockchain and things that are much too complicated
and
for my
things
simple
of
brain.
that nature.
Yeah, but it's just mind-boggling to me, man. And then I'll go click around on these different NFT pages, and I'll like a lot of the art, and then it's like something that I'd pay $20 for, like it,
Like a print.
walking around a fucking farmer's market in Austin for a print, yeah. And I'll see the price; it's like $180,000 it went for, and I'm just like, holy shit.
There's also a lot of crypto millionaires out there who can go, oh, it's 1/15 of my fucking holdings.
I mean, that's one of the crazy things about wealth just in general, but like in America, we pay so close of attention to like what our celebrities spend their money on.
Yeah.
And then a lot of that, when you equate it, like I watched an interview the other day with Fetty Wap on Instagram, where he was talking about how he knew he had fucked up. And it was when every morning he would wake up and he'd have $100,000 more than he did the day before. And then one day he woke up and it was only 40,000 more, and then 30,000 more, and then 20,000 more. And he was talking about it like it was the worst thing that could possibly happen to a human, right? Like he had failed. And I'm sitting there like, bro, if $100,000 hit my bank account in one day, even one fucking time, I would never shut the fuck up about it. But that's what money does to you, right? It's like it all becomes relative, and then you end up not having any appreciation for it. And that's sort of the conundrum that we now have with wealth in this country, where it's like if you achieve it, then everything is affordable to you. And it's just like the amount you will spend on things is asinine to regular people who $100,000 would change their whole life or the course of their whole life in some cases. It's just a wild thing, Deep guy, carried that into 2022. Gonna keep it.
Money also allows you to purchase escargot and lobster bisque.
That's true. And in hindsight, ending 2021 with Portnoy calling me a piece of shit on Twitter, it was pretty perfect, because 2021, it ended up being one of the strangest but most productive years of my entire life, bar none. And I spent the last few months of it really fighting for my life at different points. And it's kind of messed up because I can't appreciate how much ass we kicked and that I kicked individually, like, at all yet. Like, I hope in time I can appreciate 2021 for what it was, but right now it's like zero credit to myself, and I'm working on it. But I think one of the things that I allowed this stretch of life, this time period on Earth, to sort of take away from me was my ability to stay present and in the moment. And it's something that Jared and I have talked about recently too. But I'm always tripping about something that already happened or something that I'm worried might happen. And it's pure silliness, like the setup, to make me miserable. What's the point of life if you're so busy bitching about the past and freaking out about the future that you can't enjoy the present? And that's why they say every day is a gift and life is a present you can't open unless you're present. And my presence is a present. Kiss my ass. And in all seriousness, it made it difficult to maintain focus on what I really want this show to be. And not just last year, the last couple of years. And I feel blessed to be back in a place where I can focus on improving it again. Because once I got Jared in here and RBP became what I wanted it to be again in one form, which is that the show was entertaining and funny again, which I always think is like it has to be that first, if nothing else. And I lost that somewhere along the way. But then I forgot to add back in the other part too, which is something I this year I want RBP to be more fun with more laughs than it has ever had before. But I want to keep the realness that made this show more than just a comedy podcast when it started. And on, like, as a note, no amount of political buffoonery from Democrat or Republican will keep this show from being a place you can come enjoy yourself and laugh, and maybe laugh at yourself sometimes too if you're willing to not take everything so seriously. But I promise you, you will laugh. And that's not something I could have promised you in 2020. It's not something I could have promised you in 2021. It is something I can promise you now, that every podcast we put out will offer you laughter. Even if we mix in some serious stuff, you will walk away with a positive mindset. And that wasn't always the case with RBP. And I apologize for that, but the show has reflected my life very accurately. In some ways, too accurately. And that's, me learning and growing as a entertainer as well. So I appreciate y'all bearing with Jared and I. We put a ton of work in last year, and we are getting to see a lot of the results start to pile up. But it's also like I just said, I have struggled mightily with this in life, to stay in the moment and appreciate what I have in that second rather than being in my mind off to the next thing already. Like if we're wrapping up the show right now, typically my brain would already be on what I have to do next, or what do I have to go market now? Which other show that we've done recently do I need to put a clip out from, or am I going to go do a Twitch stream, or what? It's always like the next thing, or looking back and being upset. Neither of which is productive in any freaking way. So I'm excited to move forward, and we are building big things here at Bolen Media. Excited to show you all of them in 2022, and that we are one of the world's finest media companies. That is a startup with under 5 employees.
Under 4.
We have at Formula Bone on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as YouTube. But Formula Bone's F1 show is Jared's new F1 podcast and brand, and he's got the new Twitch stream going, which he did a test run for the first time last night on twitch.tv/Formula Bone.
Thank you for showing up, everybody.
What were you playing?
That was F1 2021, the Formula 1 video game.
And we bought you a full-blown steering wheel
and pedals,
and then you got driving gloves from somewhere.
Yep.
That my dad he couldn't stop talking about how I took a video of Jared and sent it to my family and put it on Instagram too. But my dad was like, is he wearing fucking driving gloves?
Yeah, shouts to Shenandoah Shine, Delph's iRacing brand.
Did they send you those?
Yeah.
For free?
Oh, yeah.
They were just like, you need these.
Yeah.
For the racing you're going to do on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You are the metaverse, Jared.
I am.
People, NFTs, Bitcoins, online e-racing.
Blippi's Harlem Shake.
Let me make one comparison for people. If anybody ever paid attention to flight simulators, the PC games, or if any of your dads ever had one of those, I know a lot of people's dads back in the 90s had flight simulator PC games. If you ever got the chance to try one, you went, oh, this fucking sucks. And you walked away because you literally had to learn how to fly a plane. And it was incredibly difficult and not fun. It was challenging. Once you got the hang of it, I'm sure it was amazing. But that's kind of what I expected Jared's first run on this F1 game to be like, just him nonstop wiping out, not really making any progress, and feeling like a dumbass, which there was plenty of, and it was hilarious. But I was just amazed at how much I enjoy. I'm not even an F1 guy yet. I haven't watched Drive to Survive. I haven't tuned into a single race beyond the one that you had me bet on, which I won. Thank you, Jared. And I was still entertained. Like that's how cool this game, because it literally looks like Jared's driving a fucking F1 car.
And granted, I do have a lot of the assists on that make it easier, but I'll slowly be taking those off as I get better. Shouts to Ryan, my trainer.
Yeah, you've got your F1 pit crew being assembled, which is cool. Anyway, if you want to watch Jared play, what is it called?
It's F1 2021.
F1 2021.
I will be. So the whole idea of why I'm doing this is that it's the Formula 1 off season.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is play an entire season of Formula 1 in between this past F1 season and the next one. So I'm giving you racing to watch. I have to do 1 to 2 Grand Prix a week starting like next week, but I'm going to do it. It's going to be fun. We're having a great time. 41 concurrent viewers.
Wild.
For my first stream.
For the first stream ever for Formula Bone. So
Unreal.
Make sure you're one of the original followers on Formula Bone's Twitch at twitch.tv/Formula Bone. And that way you get notified next time Jared goes live playing F1 2021. I assume there's an F1 2022 coming at some point.
Yeah. And also, I just dropped a new episode of the Formula Bone F1 show today, directly before this podcast. So if you're listening to this, it's already out.
And you can listen to it wherever you're listening to RBP, Formula Bone F1 show.
Yep.
Hosted by Jared Borislow.
This episode is a little bit different than the other ones. I picked my favorite Formula 1 rule. It's this really obscure rule. It's kind of like the Formula 1 version of a mercy rule. And I spent the entire episode breaking it down, the history of it, explaining it, why it's my favorite rule. It's very fun.
Your favorite rule?
Favorite rule.
All right, then. Yeah. Follow Formula Bone everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at Formula Bone, twitch.tv/Formula Bone, youtube.com/Formula Bone. Get in there. Enjoy. Also, our TV and Film podcast, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Pay attention, because House of the Dragon is coming at the end of 2022, and you know we will be covering the shit out of that, starting about a month beforehand, with all kinds of lead-up coverage. So, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, the #1 Game of Thrones podcast in the world. Bet your ass we want to make it the #1 House of the Dragon podcast in the world as well. Come through, be prepared when the time comes. Houston, folks, Houstonians, Houston sports fans, or just if you're a random Astros fan, Texans fan, or Rockets fan living somewhere in Texas, I assume. I don't know. I guess, it's not true. Sports are weird. We have fans from all over the place now. International City, baby. Banging the Can is my Houston sports podcast, which I do weekly. Also fun for the Houston sports people. Wanted to give a shout to Taylor. Thank you, my buddy Taylor, not my ex, for the Blippi. What is this? I don't even know. It's a figurine. But we have all kinds of new decorations, speaking of, on the old podcast studio set now. Jared's little set behind him usually has 1 or 2 things. Mine has like 50 things behind me that I'm constantly switching up. So check out our clips on social media at the Ross Bolen Podcast on Instagram, at the Ross Bolen Podcast on TikTok, at Ross Bolen Pod on Twitter. And I am Ross Bolen. You can follow me at WR Bolen on Twitter and Instagram. And my Twitch is twitch.tv/BossRollin. Watch our full videos on youtube.com/The Ross Bolen Podcast, where you can see the whole set and all the new stuff I've added. And we do need to decide. Oh, by the way, happy birthday to Dylan on January 23rd coming up. Dylan with a Y. What up, dude? And we need to decide what we're going to make it the year of. Last year was the year of the volunteer, and it didn't really go as planned because COVID kept going and going like a Martin Scorsese film, and I didn't want to be constantly recommending that everybody go volunteer at places when, frankly, the whole world was in chaos and nobody knew how to operate for much of the year. So,
can I say what my front runner is?
What's your front runner currently for 2022?
Okay, so obviously Ross has the final say on it, which is known by a lot of people because many people a while ago wanted it to be the year of the boot, and you shot that down.
Yeah, because it was idiotic.
I feel free. I think you're gonna like it, but you're not gonna have to decide now.
Okay,
simmer on it.
Okay, I won't react.
Year of the dog.
Hard one not to react to. I'll be honest, but I did stay stone-faced and maintain total anonymity when it comes to my feelings on that particular idea.
Okay. Just think
but
about
holler at us, Jared and I. Twitter is the best place because it's just the easiest to see, at Jared Borislow, at WR Bolen. But DM us on the Ross Bolen Podcast account or any of our personal accounts. Holler at us with what you think 2022 should be the year of. We've had a lot of very successful year ofs in the history of this show, from the year of the robe to the year of the sock to the year of the comeback to the year of the volunteer. What will 2022 bring? And let's try to make it something we can focus more on than we were able to last year. So keeping COVID sort of in mind, I would say. Which, hey, you're the dog. The only take I will give is that it's a COVID-friendly year of. So, follow us everywhere. Tell your friends and family, everybody you know about the show. Support Bolen Media in any way you can. We appreciate y'all. It really is just 3 of us full-time down here in Austin, Texas, making this thing happen, and with all these different brands. And if you see something on social media, it was created by us, and if it's distributed by us and written by us, and Jared and I and Kate are doing this all day, every day. And we appreciate y'all and the opportunity very much. It means a lot. Thanks for being here. Hope your 2022 has been cool so far. More RBP coming later this week. And, of course, Friday, ad-free on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, where we need as many of you as possible to continue growing Bolen Media and this show. So if you want more RBP, please go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast today. Make sure and support our sponsors all year long. MyBookie, code RBP. Liquid IV, code Ross. And what else?
Indochino,
our new sponsor, dude. Go to Indochino.com today. Promo code RBP for $50 off. Purchase at $3.99 or more. Get yourself a suit. Go get suited up. A custom suit made just for your little beautiful body.
And again, when you use our code, I legitimately do not think you will be able to find a better suit for the price than if you use our Indochino code.
You will never find a better suit for that price. It's a phenomenal product. You will love it. I promise you that. Send us a picture of yourself in your new Indochino when you get it, and we will put it up on our Instagram. Thank you all. Be back soon. Appreciate you. Follow us everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, review, share. Peace be with you. And also with you.